Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. Okay, so in this video here, I'm going to show you how to use a ruler. That first black line on the left-hand side of your ruler is 0. This first black line here is 0, not the edge of your ruler. On some rulers, the very edge of your ruler might be 0, but on this ruler here, it's that first black mark, the big first black mark there is 0. Then you have the big marks next to each number. Those would be inch marks. So right here, I have the 1 inch mark, the big line next to each number, the big line next to each number. Those are all inch marks. But within those inch marks, we have quarter inches. So within this 1 inch, I have these quarter inches here. So it's that medium size mark there. You have some really small marks in there. Those are 1/32 of an inch. But we have quarter inch marks in here too. So we have 4 quarters in an inch. So this would be 1 quarter. Then we have 2 quarters here. So 1 plus 1 is 2 quarters, or half an inch, or half inch. And then we have 3 quarters here. So we have 1 medium size mark, 2 medium size marks, and 3 medium size marks. So that would be 3/4 of an inch. So these are going to be some really important measurements that we use throughout this class, throughout this course, are going to be the quarter inch marks, the half inch marks, the 3/4 of an inch marks, and then the 1 inch marks. Mostly what we're going to be using though is going to be the half inch mark. So you have to know where 2 quarters are, or a half inch. Those are the same thing when you simplify that fraction there. A half inch mark is really important in this class, and then a 1 inch mark is really important. And also where that 0 is at, because if you don't know where the starting point's at, a lot of your measurements are going to be a bit skewed or a little bit off. So know where the 0 mark is going to be at, know where the half inch mark is going to be at, and then the 1 inch mark. So that half inch mark on this ruler is right above that W, but you don't want to get used to trying to find that W. You want to be able to find where 2 quarters is. So you have to break up your inch into 4ths, into 4 different parts. So we have 1 medium size mark, 2 medium size marks, 3 medium size marks, and then the 4th medium size mark would be that inch there. So you need to find where that second medium size mark is, and that would be your half inch, or 2 quarters. So what I want you to do here is on a sheet of paper is I want you to show me where 0's at. We're going to make a couple different rows here. Show me where 0's at, and then make about 10 quarter inch marks. So 10 quarter inch marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So find where the quarter inch is and go all the way up to 10. Find 10 quarter inch marks on your ruler. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 there. Go ahead and just make 10 on your piece of paper. Then on the next row, so these would be quarter inches. So quarter inches, so 1/4 or quarter inches, and you can label them. Then the next row just below that, show me where the 0's at. Then I want you to make about 5 half inch marks. So find 5 half inch marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then on the next row below that, so let's label that previous ones. These are half inch marks, so half inch. Then on the next row just below that, show me where the inch marks are. So label that 0, and then go ahead and make 5 marks where an inch are. So those big lines next to each number, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then these are inch marks. So go ahead and make 10 quarter inch marks, make about 5 half inch marks, and about 5 1 inch marks on a sheet of paper. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use a compass. On your compass, you'll notice that you have this little triangle here. That triangle, the end of that triangle is going to be pointing to your measurement. And so the way that you use this triangle and the way to find inches on this compass here is that the end of the triangle should be pointing to your measurement. So those big lines on your compass are inch marks. So right now my compass is pointing to the 1 inch mark, and then the mark before the numbers. So right now the triangle is pointing to a half inch mark. So right now my triangle is pointing at the 1.5 inch mark. Then the big line after the number are the inch marks. So right now my triangle is pointing to the 2-inch mark. And then right here it's going to be at 2.5 inches. And then the big line after the numbers are going to be the inch marks. So play around with the compass. Let's go ahead and make a few different circles here using the compass. Just get used to where these measurements are on the compass. So the inch marks are not the marks under the numbers. The inch marks are the big lines after the numbers on these compasses. So let's practice making some half-inch marks, some 1-inch marks on a half sheet of paper. So for practicing how to use a compass, we could practice on a half sheet of paper or a quarter sheet of paper. On this example here, I'm going to show you how to use it on the half sheet of paper. The reason why we're using a smaller sheet of paper is so that you can actually control your compass a little bit more, as opposed to the freedom that you might have to making bigger circles on a bigger sheet of paper. So what you could do is just practice holding the compass. So you could hold the pencil part of the compass just like you're holding a regular pencil with your thumb and index finger. My other fingers are helping me control the needle part of the compass. And when I'm using it, when I'm getting used to using a compass, my compass is at an angle instead of straight up and down. So my compass is at an angle. And I'm putting a little bit more pressure here on the needle part of my compass. And then I'm going to be rotating my paper instead of the compass when I want to make a measurement. So practice making about 5 different measurements with your compass. You want to make sure that your compass is at an angle, not straight up and down, and practice holding your pencil with your thumb and index finger, and then apply a little bit more pressure to the needle part and rotate your paper when you're practicing making these circles here until you get a little bit more comfortable. So practice making about 5 to 10 different circles. Rotate your paper, don't rotate the compass. Put a little bit more pressure on the needle part of your compass, and then hold your pencil like a regular pencil with your thumb and index finger. And that helps you control the pencil as well and avoids it from sliding in and out of the compass itself. So if you have any questions about how to use a compass, go ahead and let me know. So in this video here, I'm going to show you how to use a permanent marker. When you're using a permanent marker, make sure that you use it at an angle, not straight up and down. Notice how my hand is here at an angle. Whenever you're making some dots, if you need to make dots, even when you're drawing here, make sure that you're using the permanent marker at an angle. They last a lot longer when you use the permanent marker at an angle here instead of straight up and down. What happens is that sometimes you might have to make dots and try to avoid using your marker straight up and down vertically, because what happens is that it ends up messing up the tip here and the end of the marker doesn't work as well, and then the markers don't last as long. So when you're using a permanent marker, make sure that you use it here at an angle. So in this video here, I'm going to show you how to blend or how to shade using a regular pencil or color pencils. So you could use a regular pencil when you're shading. The first thing that you're going to do is make sure that your pencil's at an angle and you're blending in small circles. So this is going to help you apply less pressure. It's also going to allow you to use a little bit more surface area of your pencil. So if you're using it at an angle, you're using the length of the pencil here. This is going to allow you to apply an even amount of pressure to your pencil, as opposed to the way that we're used to using a pencil, straight up and down vertically or slightly at an angle. Whereas if you're using a pencil close to vertical, you're applying a lot more pressure on there. This is a lot harder and more difficult to blend in. So using your pencil at a angle allows you to control a little bit more, allows you to be able to control the amount of pressure that you're applying. And whenever you're shading, whenever you're blending, you want to be able to apply these darker values by adding more layers to the pencil. So if I want to make something darker, I would just go over in this area a lot more. And also when you're shading, you want to make sure that you avoid going straight up and down or left to right, because these lines are a lot harder to blend in. Sometimes if you try to blend these in, those lines actually still continue to show up through the shading or the blending. Whereas if you're using circles here, it's a lot easier to blend those in if they're in a circle. So whenever you're blending, whenever you're shading, make sure that you're blending in small circles. Make sure you're using your pencil at an angle. And you're applying an even amount of pressure. If you want to make a value darker, just go over in that area with a few more layers of graphite or colored pencil. If you have any questions of how to blend or how to shade, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.